Number 9. Sharon Bell. British soccer star David Beckham began receiving disturbing letters at his homes in London and Oxford in 2021, leaving him fearful for his family's safety. The unwanted correspondence was from 58-year-old Sharon Bell, who wrote that she believed Beckham's brain cells had been removed. She claimed that she was in a relationship with a pro athlete and wrote in one of the letters that Beckham's wife Victoria owed her money. Bell's tone became increasingly threatening over time as she escalated her behavior. She allegedly approached Beckham and his family numerous times in public, including one occasion where she told David and Victoria's daughter that she was the girl's real mother. The harassment continued even after Bell was sanctioned with an interim stalking protection order. As a result, authorities charged her with stalking. During a court hearing regarding her mental fitness, her lawyer told the judge that his client disagrees with Beckham's claims that they're not in a relationship. The judge lent no credence to the argument and issued a permanent order of protection with strict rules. He said that he believes Bell's condition won't improve without a significant scientific breakthrough, which means that she's likely to repeat her stalking behavior in the future. Bell was found guilty of the stalking charge and was placed in a psychiatric institution to deal with her mental health issues. Number 8. James DiMaggio. Hannah Anderson wasn't initially afraid of longtime family friend James DiMaggio, but his behavior made her feel increasingly uncomfortable over time. In 2013, DiMaggio told the Andersons that he was moving to Texas and invited them over for one last barbecue at his home in Boulevard, California. He picked up Hannah from cheerleading practice and took her to his house, where she thought they'd be joining her mom and brother. When they arrived, DiMaggio bound Hannah's wrists and ankles and drugged her. By the time she woke up, they were in his car, hundreds of miles away. She would later learn that DiMaggio had murdered her mom and brother by setting the house on fire with them still locked inside. He drove Hannah to Idaho and forced her to camp out with him in an extremely remote wooded area, nearly 1,000 miles from where the abduction occurred. A few days in, they crossed paths with a group of horseback riders who noticed that Hannah had no outdoor gear on and was carrying a cat. Concerned by the unusual sight, they contacted authorities. After 3 more days of hell in the rugged wilderness, the FBI descended on DiMaggio's campsite. The man shot at an officer and the team returned fire. DiMaggio died as a result and Hannah was rescued. Investigators admit that they may never fully know the reasons behind DiMaggio's crime spree, but it seems apparent that his unhealthy obsession with Hannah was a factor. Number 7. Kevin Alexander Acosta. Influencer Janae Gagne was known for her 2.6 million followers as Miss Mercedes Moore. In 2021, her family became concerned after not being able to reach her and asked the police to conduct a welfare check. Officers found the 33-year-old dead inside her Richmond, Texas home, along with a deceased male who was later identified as a 34-year-old Florida man named Kevin Alexander Acosta. A medical examiner concluded that Gagne died from either strangulation or brain trauma, and her death was ruled as a suicide. The victim's father, Mark Gagne, told the press that he busted into the apartment before the police arrived and found Acosta still alive with what appeared to be a self-inflicted knife wound. Speaking with local station KTRK, he said that there were rambling scribbles on the wall, which appeared to be professions of love for Janae. Authorities revealed that the tragedy appeared to be a murder-suicide carried out by Acosta. They also said that there was no evidence of a relationship between him and the victim. Gagne's family believes Acosta was an obsessed fan who stalked her, but law enforcement declined to announce any possible motives. Mark Gagne said that his daughter's social media fame terrified him, and that he warned her repeatedly to be careful. Sadly, he was the first one to discover that his worst fears had come true. Number 6. James David Rogers. In 2007, CSI Miami actress Eva LaRue received an alarming letter from someone threatening to stalk her until the day she died. 6 days later, another letter promised to instill fear into every part of her life. The correspondence kept coming for more than 12 years afterwards, as dozens of letters arrived at LaRue's California home. Perhaps as a scare tactic, they were all signed Freddy Krueger. The stalker also called LaRue's daughter's school multiple times, claiming to be the girl's father. LaRue's life was turned upside down by the relentless torment, which left her in constant fear for her and her daughter's safety. She moved several times, but the stalker somehow always figured out her new address and continued harassing her. In 2019, the FBI obtained a DNA sample from the envelopes. Using a groundbreaking technology called genetic genealogy, they traced the DNA to an Ohio man in his 50s named James David Rogers. The connection was made by running the information through public DNA databases and connecting it to the suspect's relatives. From that point, investigators identified Rogers as their suspect. They surveilled him until he threw something away in a public trash can with his DNA on it, which in this case was a fast food straw, and it was a match to the DNA on the envelopes. Finally, in the fall of 2019, Rogers was arrested and LaRue's living nightmare came to an end. He pleaded guilty to mailing threatening communications, threats by interstate communications, and stalking in 2022. As a result, he was sentenced to more than 3 years in federal prison. At his sentencing, Rogers apologized to LaRue for the distress he caused her. He brought up how he was bullied during his childhood and said that he was finally getting mental help. Rogers' attorney, Wasim Salahi, told the Washington Post that he's extremely confident his client won't reoffend, and also pointed out how LaRue was never in any physical danger because Rogers never actually approached her. But the psychological effects were profound for LaRue, who said in a victim impact statement that she's terrified about what Rogers will do once he's released from prison. Number 5. Yusuf Mohammed. After enduring months of relentless stalking by a 32-year-old man named Yusuf Mohammed in 2022, 29-year-old Isabella Smialik was at her wit's end. It all started when he saw her walking home one day in the English town of Wigan. Mohammed instantly became fixated on Isabella and began following her almost non-stop. The two had never met, and Isabella didn't even know his name. Yet Mohammed lurked outside the woman's house in his car and bought her flowers. He also blew kisses at her and told her that he loved her. Police warned him to stop, but he continued. Isabella was so traumatized by the ordeal that she became a recluse and considered taking her own life just to escape his constant harassment. She ended up moving back to Poland, where she emigrated to Britain from as a teen and had to start taking liquid food supplements because she couldn't eat properly due to the effects of stress on her body. Fed up and not knowing what else to do, Isabella filmed herself confronting Mohammed and posted the footage on social media, along with a warning to women about his disturbing behavior. After the incident, he was charged with stalking. He was found guilty, but unfortunately, it didn't mark the end of his mental torture against Isabella. Mohammed appealed his conviction, claiming that Isabella is the real stalker and that she won't leave him alone. Unfortunately, the case is ongoing and Isabella may have to deal with Mohammed for a while longer until the appeal hearing takes place. Number 4. Mauricio Damian Guerrero. In early 2022, police were dispatched to a New Hampshire apartment complex in response to a complaint about strange noises. While there, officers learned that a 24-year-old OnlyFans model who lived in one of the apartments had woken up earlier that day to a man standing in her doorway. According to a probable cause affidavit, when they went up to the attic, they could hear heavy footsteps on the roof. They also found food, AirPods, a Bluetooth tracking device, and a cup filled with urine, suggesting that someone had been camping out in the attic. The officers were about to leave when they spotted the suspect on the roof and took him into custody. 20-year-old Mauricio Damian Guerrero allegedly came to the area from 350 miles away to stalk the woman after meeting her on OnlyFans. He was staying at a nearby Airbnb and had been stalking the victim for several days. Police found a video on the suspect's phone that appeared to show the woman sleeping in her bed half nude. It was filmed about an hour before the police responded to the residence. Investigators also discovered another video from the day before showing the interior of the woman's apartment. In the days leading up to the incident, the victim's keys disappeared and suddenly reappeared. She said that it may have taken her a while to realize anyone was in her home because she's a heavy sleeper. Her roommate also made some disturbing observations, including doors and windows that were mysteriously left open. Authorities believe Guerrero broke into the home with a pry bar and that he took the victim's keys to make his own copy. They found the duplicate key and his fingerprints on the windowsill where they think he broke in. Guerrero allegedly claimed that the woman invited him over and that they had a past. He also said that she told him she wanted a man to obsess over her and stalk her. However, it's unclear whether or not his claims are true. He was charged with 4 counts of burglary and was hit with a restraining order following his release from prison. But according to Deputy Strafford County Attorney Emily Garrett, his bail conditions are pretty strict and the case is still ongoing. Number 3. Ray Israel Wilkinson. While working for the UK Department for Culture, Media and Sport, Ray Israel Wilkinson met Alex Wilkinson in 2021. She apparently couldn't forget about him after leaving the job and contacted him for a face-to-face meeting. Alex told My London that he found the request odd because he and Israel Wilkinson hadn't developed a meaningful relationship during their time as co-workers. He soon discovered that she'd created social media pages dedicated to her obsession with him. On Twitter, she wrote that the UK's intelligence agency, Government Communications Headquarters or GCHQ, was stopping her and Alex from being together. Israel Wilkinson also posted numerous pleas to the public asking them to help her get in touch with her former colleague, adding that she wanted to touch his face and tell him he's made of stardust. But things reached a new level of crazy when she changed her last name to make it seem like they were married. She also lurked outside his office on several occasions. In the meantime, she bombarded Alex with emails claiming she was homeless. The messages contained bizarre statements, including one about gangs trying to turn people into cute dogs. Alex reported the concerning behavior to police, and Israel Wilkinson was arrested. She refused to attend at least 2 court hearings and was convicted in her absence. The judge ordered her to undergo inpatient psychiatric treatment and told her that the medical reports he read about her mental issues were the only reason he wasn't sentencing her to prison. Number 2. Relentless rental applicant. In 2022, an American expatriate named Sophia went viral for a series of TikTok videos she posted about a woman who responded to her ad offering a room for rent in Sydney. They made plans for the woman to come to see the room, and she brought gifts for Sophia and her roommate, even bringing a present for her dog. She immediately saw this as a red flag. When she realized that the items the woman bought were all things she had mentioned on her TikTok, she grew even more concerned. After the initial meeting, the woman bombarded Sophia with messages on various social media platforms. If Sophia didn't answer quickly enough, she became agitated. Sophia was alarmed by the fact that a complete stranger was suddenly acting like her best friend, always wanting to hang out and telling her personal things that people don't normally tell to someone they just met. She said that the woman demanded to meet for coffee and asked her intrusive questions. She also apparently overshared about her past trauma, which Sophia believes was an attempt to gain sympathy. After looking back on the situation, she suspected that the woman lied about being a medical student because she never seemed to be busy. The most disturbing turn in the story came when the prospective roommate joined Sophia's gym. She posted 2 videos about the experience and promised that part 3 would be the most shocking, but it appears as though she never followed up with the rest of the story. At number 1, Jan Schlosser. 41-year-old Jan Schlosser went to an employment agency in Leicestershire, England, looking for work in early 2022. But his interest quickly shifted to the woman running the office. Shortly after his visit, he began to barrage her with text messages asking her out. He also bought her a wedding ring and repeatedly showed up at the agency with various other unwanted gifts. Things took a terrifying turn when Schlosser moved to Leicester to be closer to his victim. Around the same time, his messages took on a more abusive and perverted tone. The woman told her employer about the harassment, and they filed a police report. Schlosser pleaded guilty to stalking and was issued a lifetime restraining order, banning him from contacting or going near the victim. However, he contacted her within 2 hours of being issued and was quickly arrested. This time, he received a short jail sentence and was permanently banned not only from contacting the victim, but from entering the city of Leicester. Hopefully, it's enough to keep him from resuming his obsessive campaign. Would you rather find out that someone in your neighborhood religiously watches you from afar and knows your schedule? Or routinely receive creepy messages from an ex you dated years ago who believes you're the one who got away? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.